You are given a project with single virtual private cloud and a single subnetwork in the US Central One region. There is a compute engine instance hosting an application in this subnetwork. You need to deploy a new instance in the same project in the Europe West One region. This new instance needs access to the application. You want to follow Google recommended practices. What should you do? Option A is the correct answer. Option A, create a subnetwork in the same VPC in Europe West 1. Create the new instance in the new subnetwork and use the first instance's private address as the endpoint. Your projects incurred more cost than you expected last month. Your research reveals that a development GKE container emitted a huge number of logs, which resulted in higher cost. You want to disable the logs quickly using the minimum number of steps. What should you do? Option A is the correct. Option A, go to the logs ingestion window in Stackdriver logging and disable the log source for GKE container source. You have a website hosted on App Engine standard environment. You want 1% of your users to see a new test version of the website. You want to minimize complexity. What should you do? Option B is the correct answer. Option B, deploy the new version in the same application and use the splits option to give a weight of 99 to the current version and weight of 1 to the new version. You have a web application deployed as a managed instance group. You have a new version of the application to gradually deploy. Your web application is currently receiving live web traffic. You want to ensure that the available capacity does not decrease during the deployment. What should you do? Option B is the correct answer. Option B, perform a rolling action, start update with max search set to 1 and max unavailable set to 0. Question number 55. You are building an application that stores relational data from users. Users across the globe will use this application. Your CTO is concerned about the scaling requirement because the size of the base is unknown. You need to implement a database solution that can scale with your users' growth with minimum configuration changes. Which storage solution should you use? A. Cloud SQL. B. Cloud Spanner. C. Cloud Firestore. D. Cloud Data Store. Cloud Spanner. You are the organization and billing administrator for your company. The engineering team has project creator role on the organization. You do not want the engineering team to be able to link projects to the billing account. Only the finance team should be able to link project to a billing account, but they should not be able to make any other changes to projects. What should you do? Option A is the correct answer. A. Assign the finance team only billing account user role on the billing account. Question number 57. You have an application running in Google Kubernetes Engine with cluster auto scaling enabled. The application exposes a TCP endpoint. There are several replicas of this application. You have a compute engine instance in the same region, but in another virtual private cloud called GCE network that has no overlapping IP ranges with the fast VPC. This instance needs to connect the application on GKE. You want to minimize effort. What should you do? Option C is the correct answer. Option C, in GKE, create a service type load balancer that uses the application spots as backend. Add annotation to this service cloud.google.com/load balancer type internal. Pair the two VPCs together. Configure the compute engine instance to use the address of the load balancer that has been created. You need to host an application on a compute engine instance in a project shared with other teams. You need to prevent the other teams from accidentally causing downtime on the application. Which feature should you use? A. Use shielded VM. B. Use preemptible VM. C. Use a sole tenant node. D. Enable deletion protection on the instance. Option C is the correct answer. Question number 59. Your organization is a financial company that needs to store audit log files for 3 years. Your organization has hundreds of Google Cloud projects. You need to implement a cost effective approach for log file retention. What should you do? Option A is the correct answer. Option A. Create an export to the sink that saves log from cloud audit to BigQuery. Question number 60. You want to run a single caching HTTP reverse proxy on GCP for a latency sensitive website. This specific reverse proxy consumes almost no CPU. You want to have a 30 GB in memory cache and need an additional 2 GB of memory for the rest of the processes. You want to minimize the cost. How should you run this reverse proxy? Option B is the correct answer.